While today you'll see black and yellow locomotives hauling cargo into Gippsland from the south, the stretch of track these locomotives travel on has had a very interesting history. Long before the days of Watco and the Louisiana Southern, in 1901, the large forests of Louisiana were rather untouched. The Huey Hodge Lumber Company was formed to extract timber for the North Louisiana forests. 2 lumber mills were built, one in Hodge and the other in Danville just 10 miles away. Eventually there was a need to connect both of the towns. In 1902, just 1 year after the lumber company was created, a privately owned railway was constructed to connect both mills. They would connect with the now abandoned Rock Island Main Line in Hodge. The private railroad would operate for 4 years until being chartered and being named the North Louisiana and Gulf. The North Louisiana and Gulf would expand by acquiring rail line that extended to the small town of Bienville. This would create a second interchange with the Louisiana and Northwest. For decades, the NL&G would continuously carry wood products such as pulpwood or paper along their humble line. In 1949, just 4 years after the end of the Second World War, the North Louisiana and Gulf would receive its final expansion during its existence. The Louisiana and Northwest was abandoning all of their tracks south of Gippsland, so the NL&G would hop on to the opportunity to gain 15 miles of rails from Bienville to Gippsland. So now, along with the connections to the L&W and Rock Island, the NL&G would now have a connection to the east and west main line of the Illinois Central, which today serves as the KCS Meridian Speedway. During the age of steam, nothing bigger than a 260 or 460 locomotive were used to haul their cargo. The start of the 1950s, however, was the beginning of a new era for the short line. A pair of General Electric 70-tonner locomotives would become the first diesels to operate on the short line. 2 EMD SW8 locomotives bought by L&W in 1950 would find their way to the NL&G in the late 60s as well. Believe it or not, the first KCS locomotives to work in Gippsland came along about 2 decades before Kansas City Southern would acquire the main line that interchanged with the NL&G. F-unit locomotives were leased for several years. Right in the middle of the 1970s, a quartet of brand new MP15 DC switchers were bought for the NL&G. While the F units of the Louisiana Northwest were most likely the top priority for rail fans, I'm pretty sure these switchers were probably a nice bonus. Towards the later years of the short line, a former Conrail GP38 would be acquired. This would be the only non-in-cab switcher locomotive that would serve on the NL&G. Operations between Hodge and Gippsland would go on for a little less than 4 decades. Not much changed in what type of cargo the NL&G hauled, just loads of wood products. In 1987, the 80-plus year era of the NL&G was coming to a close, and the new owners of the ICG mainline would acquire the North Louisiana and Gulf. The Mid-South would operate the former NL&G until being purchased by the Kansas City Southern, which would then lease the railroad to Watco. And that's where we are today. I hope you enjoyed this summary of the story of a small logging railroad in North Louisiana. I'd like to give a huge thanks to Mr. Mose Crews for allowing me to use his photos in the video. You'll be seeing more of his content in future videos. If you did enjoy, leave a like down below and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you out by the rails.